Good day, students. Today we are going to do heroic couplet. The literary term heroic couplet is a type of poem and it consists of lines of iambic pentameter which rhyme in pairs A, B, B, C, C, D, D and so on. We have already done what is an iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter mean a line consisting of 10 syllables and generally with one stressed syllable and one unstressed syllables. And what is the rhyme scheme of this type of couplet? A, B, B and C, C and D, D. So they rhyme in pairs, means the first line rhymes with the second line, the third line rhymes with the fourth line and the fifth line rhymes with the sixth line. So the adjective heroic was applied in the later 17th century because of the frequent use of such couplets in heroic poems or plays. So couplet, I hope you must have understood what is a couplet. Couplet is a pair of two lines which rhyme with each other. And why this word heroic is being applied to the term couplet, heroic couplet? Because initially this type of poetry was used to sing the heroic tales of the historical heroes in heroic poems and plays. This verse form was introduced into English poetry by the father of English literature, Geoffrey Chaucer. And he used heroic couplet in the legend of good women and most of his Canterbury tales and has been in constant use ever since. So many poets use heroic couplets from the age of Dryden through that of Dr. Johnson. The heroic couplet has become the predominant English measure for all the poetic kinds. Some poets, including Alexander Pope, also used it to the exclusion of all other meters. Means he used it almost for whatever he has written. Alexander Pope. Now, in the neoclassic period, the poets wrote closed couplets. That is, the end of each couplet, it tends to coincide with the end of a sentence or a self-contained unit of syntax. Now, what happened? That the sustained employment of the closed heroic couplet meant that there were two lines and it had to serve something of the function of a stanza. It was a mini stanza. Now, what happened? That one line, after the end of the one line, the poet put a comma and at the end of the second line either a full stop or a semicolon. It means the meaning was half complete after the end of the first line and the meaning was fully complete after the end of the second line. So couplet can be extracted from a poem, can be used individually also. For example, if we study Indian poetry, Kabir has used couplets in order to say his philosophical thoughts. There are many couplets written by Kabir. So, in order to maximize the interrelations of the component parts, the neoclassical poets often used an end-stopped first line. That is, made the end of the line coincide with the pause of the syntax and also broke each single line into subunits by balancing it around a strong caesura or medieval pause in the syntax. Now, John Denham has used this poetic form in his poem Cooper's Hill, and neoclassical poets has also made much use of this type of poetry. Now, I will read some lines from the poet Denham, and the poet is addressing the river Thames. So, notice the couplet. Oh, could I flow like thee and make thy stream. My great example, it is my theme. Though deep yet clear, though gentle yet not dull, strong without rage, without overflowing, full. Now you see the word stream is rhyming with theme, dull with full. Now here one thing is to be noticed, that dull and full, they are not exactly rhyming, but they are I rhymes. What is an I rhyme? I rhyme means two words that seem to rhyme, that look alike, but they do not rhyme. For example, the spelling dull and full. It seems that these words will rhyme, but when we pronounce them, they do not rhyme. So it is an example of I rhyme. But generally, a heroic couplet consists of rhymes, lines with where the end of the first line, end word of the first line rhymes with the last word of the second line. So it is A, B, B, C, C, D, D, and so on and so forth. And I will give you one more example of heroic couplet from the passage of Alexander Pope. He was the greatest master of the metrical, syntactical, and rhetorical possibilities of the closed couplet. Now, I will read out a stanza from his long work of the character of women. And you should notice the rhyme scheme, how he has managed to use heroic couplet. See how the world its veterans rewards, a youth of frolics, an old age of cards, fair to no purpose, artful to no end, young without lovers, old without a friend, a fop in their passion, but their prize a sort, alive, ridiculous, and dead forgot. Now we can notice the rhyme scheme. The word rewards rhyme with cards, end rewards with friend, sort rhymes with forgot. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, C, C. Now we can compare these closed neoclassical couplets with open couplets, which have been used by Keats, romantic poet Keats, in his Endymion, in which the patterns of stresses vary often from the iambic norm. The syntax is unsymmetrical and the couplets run on freely, with the rhyme serving to color rather than to stop the verse. Now, heroic couplet, you also have examples of heroic couplet in your course of study also. When we read a criticism on man, an essay on man by Alexander Pope, there also we have the poet using heroic couplets with the rhyme scheme of A, B, B, and C, C. So I hope you understood this type of poem, that is heroic couplet. So just for a revision, let me tell you that heroic couplet involves iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter means lines of 10 syllables which rhyme in pairs, A, B, B, and so. The adjective
Your phone's
heroic,
in flight mode, so I can't help you with that at the moment.
The adjective heroic is being used because generally couplets were written in order to express the heroic deeds in poems and epics. So that is why it is called heroic couplet. So many poets have been using heroic couplet, and still heroic couplet is one of the popular forms of poetry because it gives an easy rhyming pattern to the poet, and that rhyming pattern consists of couplets where the end word of one line matches with the or rhymes with the end word of the second line. Heroic couplet was generally used for long poems. Long poems where it was easy for the poet to employ couplets rather than other type of rhyme scheme. Thank you.